Hey everyone, welcome back to the series on the Orient Red 84 wagon. Today I'm going to move to the interior of the vehicle. You can see we have it back on the ground. We're done with everything under the vehicle. Today I'm going to remove the wood trim. We're going to check out the window switches. We're going to send the wood off to Madera to have it refinished. I'm going to check out the radio. I think this has an aftermarket, so we're going to put back in an original radio, and we're also going to inspect the antenna and do any repairs there. So let's go ahead and get started. Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Okay, guys, we're going to start by removing this wood trim. And you can see over here, so from the factory, Mercedes used this like foam. It's like a double-sided foam tape. And you can see there's some residue left on this side. But that deteriorates over the years, and you can literally on most of these cars grab it right here on the original ones, and you can just pull that off, and that foam will just immediately separate. So we don't actually need to go back behind the dash and pull out the metal backing plate, because when we get these back, we'll just clean that up and we'll re-glue it to the existing backing plate. Now I can see someone's already glued a little bit. You see that little glue residue right there? That was probably starting to pop loose, and somebody probably put a little glue behind it. So the glove box, we have to remove that and pop out the lock to get this piece off. And then down here, yeah, that's a pretty good looking piece. But when it comes back from Madera, it'll all be uniform. See how this has a little bit of sun fade, and then how this is much darker. And we'll go ahead and make it perfect so it doesn't have, it'll be all the uniform same color. And then we need to go ahead and pop out this radio. That's an aftermarket, the famous 1980s tape deck upgrade. We'll go ahead and pop that out, make sure the original wiring is all intact. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we do, we need to take these screws out, pop out the ashtray, get out the radio. Then this will allow us to pull this piece off. We're also going to refurbish these switches. You see the logo has worn off right there, because that's the one that's always used. None of the other switches really get used. So we'll take a good switch from another, a good button from another switch that still has the logo, and we'll replace that there. So let me go ahead and get started, and I'll show you when it's all out on the bench. Okay, we have our piece off here. And we can see our peg is still intact. That's great. That means no one's really been in there before, because normally they'll break that off. That peg goes through this little hole right here and holds the back down. Now I can also see all of our original wiring is intact. Here's the fader switch. That's often, and we're going to clean this up with some Deox, but that's often the piece that is cut out or bypassed when an aftermarket radio goes in. So that's good. That hasn't been tampered with. That's all in excellent condition. And there's our antenna wire right there. So all that is still there. Let me figure out how to get this aftermarket radio out of here. Let's just throw that out. We usually can pull off the face. There we go. All right, then I'm going to have to get some little feeler gauges and stick down in the side, and it'll allow that to pop out, and then we can take out the aftermarket frame. Now, this piece just pops off. There we go. Yeah, that's outstanding condition. All right, let me work on this, and then we're going to pull out these screws so we can get behind here and pop out this console wood right here, and then we'll go ahead and proceed to get the rest out. Okay, so we have the radio out, and good news, all the original harness is still in here, and you can see there's the original harness, the gray, red, brown, and black, and they have just spliced in the aftermarket harness for the radio. So we're going to remove that, and all we need to install, I need to solder in the radio plug that goes back to these wires. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, over here on the workbench, this is an original harness. I always have a couple of them in stock. So you see that's the fader switch, just in case it's all hacked up in the cars. But in this case, you can see there's the red, gray, brown, and black. And there is our plug right there. So we're just going to snip off this plug here and then solder it onto the original wiring harness in the car. And over here on the shelf, here's my radio section of the shop. You can see there's a bunch of harnesses up here. And these are restored radios that I get from Andrew Villasenor out in California. Yeah, he does a great job having these fixed. That's the correct radio that came in the car. Let me move that off of here. So we're going to take this one and install it back in the vehicle. That's an original Becker. And we can see, there we go. There's where our 4-pin plug goes right there. So that's what we're going to solder back in right now. Okay, I grabbed another radio off the shelf. You can see that's the same Becker 612, but I had Andrew install Bluetooth in here. Now, that's not for hands-free calling, but it allows you to connect your phone so you can stream your music straight to the radio. And that's a nice feature, and it still keeps everything factory stock. And so I'm going to put in this Bluetooth radio. I'm just looking at this aftermarket harness here, and I just want to make sure I clip it in the right areas. So here we go. There are the speaker wires right there. Left side and right side speaker wires. That's the original Mercedes ones. You have a green and black and a red and black. So I'm going to go ahead and clip those there. And then we have some zip ties right here. We're just going to clip out. Okay. Now the antenna control is going to be in here somewhere. I'll see it. There's a couple of more that were spliced. Here we go. Those might be speaker there too. Yep, and that's a speaker also. Okay. There we go. There's the rest of our Mercedes harness. All right, now that one could be the antenna control. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to clip off these connectors they had on here. This is where I'm going to clip in my main power plug. Okay, there we go. We got that. Here's the aftermarket harness that was spliced in. So we can take that out. And here, this is original Mercedes. This is speaker wire. And this is power. I think this one could possibly be antenna. These are the speaker wires that go into the back of the radio. So I need to put our Becker connections back onto here. This is where I'm going to solder in my power plug for the back of the radio. So I just want to splice these wires, or strip these wires here. We're not going to use those little twist ties, or you know what you see most radio shops use. We're going to do solder, which is permanent, and that's the professional way to do it. And we're going to put this back to 100% original factory wiring. Okay, here's my bag of random radio parts, and here we go. This is what we're looking for right here. There's the left and right speaker connection, and just like in the car, you see it's green and black and red and black. So I should be able to take that. We want to strip the wires here and solder those in to those connections that are still in the car. Basically in the car, you know, they have this sheath over the original harness, And in the car, we have 2 ends sticking out like this. And what they did, they clipped off these connectors so they could splice it into the harness. So we're just going to solder back in the original connectors. And this stuff is pretty easy to do, guys. It's just basic electronics or basic soldering. This is not even really electronic soldering. We're just soldering some wires. So first I'll strip them apart like that. And here's our antenna connector. I have one of those too. This plugs into the back of the radio. There's the connection for the antenna. But on the back of the radio, you have a white and a black connector. And these connections just plug in right like that. So that's what we're adding back into the car. All right, there's that one. Hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know if it's in view. All right, there we go. We have 2 permanent connections that will never come undone. Now, before I move my heat shrink tubing over it and heat it up and shrink it down, I'm going to cover them with electrical tape. That way it keeps them from making contact with each other and shorting out the speaker. Okay, there we go. We got that side. Now let's put our shrink tubing over it. And guys, that is a professional job that will never come apart. I'll heat those up, shrink them down, and then we have our original factory speaker cables, or speaker connectors back in the car. All right, before I heat those up, I'm going to go ahead and move to our main plug harness. Okay, there we go. That is never coming apart. Very nice. And slide our tubing over it. There we go. All right. Our connections are done. Now we need to, we're going to plug in the radio, see if it works. Now, this might be the antenna. I don't think it is. But we can go ahead and see if the radio at least turns on at this point. All right, like I said, our antenna is not hooked up. But we're just going to see if we get power. So first let me check the headlights. Okay, we get illumination. See, the illumination just showed up. So we got that wire right. Okay, good. We now have the time. See, the time shows. We have illumination. Let me see if I can turn it on. Okay, we have no speaker signal, but the radio is on and functioning. So let me diagnose what's going on with the speakers. Yep, speakers are definitely... Oh, you know what? I got to have the fader switch installed because that completes the circuit. Let me get the fader switch. Hey guys, I got everything hooked up. Before I can power it on, though, I have to put in the fader switch because that completes the circuit for the speakers. So we'll plug that fader switch in. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's down here. Now, let's see if we have sound. Yes! Hear the speakers? Okay, and the fader works. Speakers up front and in the rear. See if we can pick up a station without the antenna. Okay, so all we have right now is static, but we have a good working radio. And the clock actually came on, so that's great. Everything's hooked up correctly. Now I need to get to the bottom of the antenna. So I'm guessing this could be the antenna control. So I'm going to temporarily wire this in here, and we will plug it into the back of the radio and see what happens. There we go. You see if the antenna extended. Yes, the antenna extended. We have some Spice Girls playing, and we have a beautifully working Bluetooth radio. Awesome. Mission accomplished. All right, guys, so all the wiring is done. Here's the antenna wire. Now, what we want to do now is use the heat gun and shrink the shrink wrap tubing. And you want to make sure you don't point this heat gun at anything plastic in the car, because it will melt it. This thing is very, very hot. And you don't want to set it down on anything either. All right, there we go. That is shrink wrap tubing on there now. We're also going to do it. Let me unplug the radio here. There we go. There's a better angle. So I'm going to do it kind of up in the air here. And all the tubing around our power wires. Beautiful. Very nice. That is all permanently in place. And now the last thing I want to do is the speaker wires here. There we go. And there we go, guys. That's the frame that was installed from the aftermarket radio. Now we can slide that guy out of here. There we go. Now we're back to the factory original installation location. Beautiful. All right, before I slip it all in there permanently, let's test our antenna control. Okay, I just cleaned and lubricated the antenna. And I just use this, I use this stuff on like all kinds of little gears and electronics and stuff. I'm sorry, not electronics, but like just small parts. Household oil, 3-in-1. This is really good stuff. And what you do, you just put a little drop on there like that. And then you just rub it up and down on the antenna. And you do it at each little joint. And that brought our antenna completely back to life. Let me demonstrate. I will turn on the radio, and we get nice full extension on the antenna. Beautiful. And I can do manual antenna controls. So if I press down for like a second or two and then let go, there we go. See, we've gone half mast. Turn off the radio. It goes down. I'm going to wipe some more of this lubrication in there as it goes down. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now let's go ahead and pop off the switch panel, the center wood piece, and the glove box piece. And then we are going to be done with this video, and we can send that off to Madera Concepts, and then I'll show you when it's being reinstalled on the car. Okay, all that cleaning and wiping I did on the antenna, you can see there's actually Hirschmann antenna wipes here in the glove box. So I'll leave those in here. And then here's a set of fuses. There we go. We'll leave those in there. Now, to get the wood off the glove box here, we actually have to take apart the glove box and take the lock out. And you need a special tool to do that, because that slips into that slot like that. It's a special nut there. There you go. And it comes off like that. We can hit these 4 screws here, and then the glove box door will separate from the plastic frame here. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, got the glove box door off, and now we got to pop out this lock mechanism, because you can see the wood goes behind the lock. So we'll take that over to the bench to do that. Okay, now that all the wood, well, there's one more piece. That center piece is still in the car, but now that it's out of the car, you can see why I'm sending it to Madera. So here's the glove box wood, and here's the wood, you know, that goes on the side of the dash. Well, here's the center console wood. See the difference, the fading? The sun was hitting this area. There you go. Huge difference. That's all supposed to be the same color. So that's why we're sending this off. I mean, other than that, you guys, this wood is flawless condition. I don't think there is a crack anywhere in here. No, that is pretty remarkable. I don't even see any cracks there. But when Madera sends this back, it'll look absolutely beautiful. Okay, you can see I pushed out the lock, and before I pushed it out, so it was in here, like slid up in there, and you can see I marked so it lines up, because it goes in, the orientation is a certain way, but you see there's these tabs, and you have to push those tabs together while pushing it out. It's pretty difficult, but once you've done it 50 times, you kind of get the hang of it. And then what you're left with, you have these little, there you go, these little bent metal tabs here. And you got to bend those straight. See, there's another one here. There we go. Just want to bend those straight. Like that. And now you can flip this over and pull this piece through. There you go. See those tabs are right there? There's the ones that we bent straight, and they were going through there. They're held in there just by being twisted. Pretty cool design idea. So I need to get our switches out. But there we go. That's everything that was on the upper dash. And here is the lower dash. Huge difference. This has like an orange hue to it. That's the original kind of mahogany / walnut. So get the switches out, and then I'm going to start working on the switches, and this is getting shipped off tomorrow. Okay, I almost forgot to show you how to remove the ashtray wood. There's 2 screws that go through the back. I've already removed one. And we'll take this other screw out here. There we go. This piece just slides off. And that piece is what was holding this piece on. And this one just slides down. It actually has a little retaining bevel right here that kind of slips onto the bottom. So it holds the bottom in place, and that holds the top. To get the switches out, guys, I already have the fader switch out because I had to have that in the car for the radio. So the rubber boot, first, that just pulls off. That's just like clipped on. So this comes off. We'll save that. And then on the back of the switches, see that little tang right there? There's a tang right there. And you can see they're on both sides of the switches. So, see if you guys can see this. You just press that down. There you go. While pressing the switch, press that one down there. There we go. And then the switch can come out the other side. Okay, let's go ahead and start cleaning up these switches. All right, we're going to go ahead, and I can see that this switch was already replaced at some point in the car's previous life. This appears to be the original one here. And I'm going to go ahead and pop out this button. And we're going to clean up inside here and then replace that. Oh yeah, it's dirty down in there. And you can see just all the, dirt and grime and stuff from over the years. So we want to pop both these off, clean that out real well. Now, inside, you have these two they look like little seesaws, like that. And then you have 2 little metal balls. Let's see. Oh, here's the other one right here. It was stuck onto the bottom of the button. Pop that off. Okay, now we can clean up this stuff here, and we'll spray this out with Deox and reassemble it with a good button. All right, let's go ahead and clean this out. That's just Deox. Deoxit, great for cleaning electronic components. And then we'll go ahead and hit this with some compressed air. And there we go. Those are all cleaned out. Very nice condition. And we're going to reassemble. All right, we've got a good switch here. What we want to do is take out the little springs from the old switch. There we go. There we go. There's two little springs that go down in the switch. And we will reinsert those in our good switch. Okay. Then we're just going to drop these back down in here. Now we just want to put a dab of grease right on the end of the spring, because that's how Mercedes did it. And we'll put the switches back in there. All right, guys, it doesn't take much grease at all. We just want to put a little dab right there and a little dab right there. And we'll pop that down in here. There we go. Now they're both going the same direction, and they're the opposite direction of the other side of the car, which that's correct. And you can see these work perfect now. So that is a restored, genuine Mercedes switch. Go ahead and just wipe that off there, and that's ready to go back in the car. So let me clean up this other side, and then we'll get these back in the car. All right, we're back in the car. Now, you can see the climate control unit is pulled out because I want to replace, there's little bulbs back here. See these little bulbs? I want to replace those bulbs so we get correct illumination through here. I think one of these is burned out. Yeah, I think it's this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace them all. But also I've got my mirror switch. That's for the side mirror. And our hazard switch. So I just want to test and make sure these work okay. So we'll just give it auxiliary power here. And, whoops, turn off the blinker. All right, let's try our aux switch. Oh, I need to turn off the radio. Okay, here's our aux switch. Okay, you can see it's correctly flashing. I'm sorry, I said aux switch. I meant hazard switch. That one's good. We've already tested the dimmer with the radio. Now let's test this mirror here. We're going to go down. Okay, good. Up. Good. Left. And, sorry, right. It was already all the way left. And left. Okay, so this switch is functioning, so we don't need to rebuild that one or that one. Let's go ahead and get the bulbs to replace in here now. Okay, all the switchers are ready to reinstall once we get the wood trim back from Madeira. These are the little bulbs. Let's see. 2721 1.2 watt. That's upside down, but it says Osram 12 volt. Anyway, there's your part numbers. All right, I've got this one pulled out just so we can demonstrate. You can see how that one looks a little blown. It's like silver looking in there. So we can pull this guy out. There we go. And we'll slip in our other one, and I'll check the others, and then we'll do a test. Okay, I've got the bulbs changed, and the bulbs are for the wheel, these buttons, and those. So let me turn on the lights on the car, and let's make sure they all illuminate. Okay, good. So you can see they're lit up there, all along there, and through the control wheel. So those have been replaced now and are good to go. Now, these up here will also light up. They're very dim unless you're in the dark. Like in the daytime, you can't see them. But the way those are controlled are actually by a single bulb all the way back down in there. And then you have these little, see that little black line right there? That's a fiber optic that comes up to the back side. You can see there's one right there. Like this one will have two little fiber optics. See if I can get this out. There we go. See the black line up top and on the bottom? Those are little fiber optic lines that bring the light up to the button. I've tested those all those are good. So we're good to go on all the lights, including on the radio.